Late again, this time simply because the day has been utter chaos. And I feel like if I was dragged out of my house and beaten to a bloody pulp by a biker gang, not a banker, a biker gang of 21 people, it would probably just improve my physical, mental, and overall condition. But right now, at least, I'm. You can see. That's sucks. She's on my chest, but she's a small cat, so I'm still having an easy time breathing, or at least as easy a time as I do when she's not here. She's just comforting me. She knows I'm in pain. But yeah, genres, and the one I want to go into is probably one of the most popular, either directly or indirectly. By that I mean many don't admit that they are this genre, but they are nonetheless. And that's Nico complaining. Uh, and that is adventure. And in many ways, you could call adventure a very bland genre because adventure in itself doesn't mean that anything happens, which is probably why most things are actually not pure adventure. It's action adventure, mystery adventure, or something like that. Sci-fi adventure, fantasy adventure. I know those are just world genres combined with a plot genre, but you will probably understand in a moment why that is also kind of a match made in heaven, really. The adventure genre is not exactly about what is being done. It's not so much about what main characters do as it is what they experience. Adventure genre is a an exploration genre. He's he's in his own room downstairs because he cannot eat with the others because he has dietary stuff, and he's very angry that he can't eat with the others. That's why he's complaining downstairs. If you can hear him, the other complaining are just two who cannot get along right now for some reason. Whatever. The adventure genre is about going on an adventure, duh. But it's pretty significant to actually understand what that is, what that means in words. You're not doing an adventure. You're going on an adventure. You're not performing an adventure. Stop pestering her. You just ate. Sit down and relax. You're old enough to do that. Um, Adventure is when you go to exotic places, you meet exotic people, you do exotic things, you see exotic things. The adventure genre is going in, nope. The adventure genre is going into the jungle to find buried treasure. It's going into Nazi Germany to discover a hidden uh, Catholic scripture or something. It's going deep into space, meeting weird aliens and finding out some big conspiracy. But a lot of that is just going places and experiencing what is there. Even if you take the most adventure movie, high quality adventure movie, really good adventure movies. Um, what's it called? Jack Dalton, Michael. Uh, oh, what's his name? I've got his face on my mind. Why don't I remember his name? The Romancing the Stone. He plays uh, with Kathleen Turner, and after that, Jewel of the Nile. Michael. It's not Michael Caine. That's the older. Why Michael Douglas? Michael Douglas. I think he's called Jack Dalton or Jack Bolton or something like Jack Colton maybe. Um, but those are adventure movies, and they are classics. They are so good, and they are so pure adventure. Much of the time, it's going places and oh wow, look at this! This is amazing. Oh wow, look at this! This is hilarious. Oh wow, look at this! This is beautiful. They are action adventures because the adventure parts are are split up by oh, you're cuddling. Yeah, split up by action sequences, and it's good action adventure. It's real. If you haven't seen Romancing the Stone and Jewel of the Nile, you should watch both movies. They are 80s classics, right up there with Back to the Future. Indiana Jones is also action adventure, but the adventure part is very strong in it. They go to exotic places. He meets exotic people. He does really amazing stuff. But it's not a lot of the main things are not action. Goes between the important things. Um, Action is kind of injected into it to make it more than just going ooh and ah and wow. Because adventure is basically a guided tour. It's a guided tour of something amazing and fantastic, and then you get a feeling that you did something truly amazing, when in reality you just went from A to B and got item C or something like that. The plot, the actual plot of an adventure movie, is basically just going places. You go from there to there, you go from there to there, you go from there to there, and then explain why you go from there to there and there to there, and you've got an adventure plot. You could write an adventure story based entirely on an atlas. You could look up places in an atlas. You could make excuses for the main characters going there, and you could just describe them from what's written in the atlas. Then you have an adventure. Of course, you can have adventures that aren't like globe-trotting adventures. Usually they are because there's just something about going to Venice or Puerto Rico or going into the deep Amazonian jungle or the Himalayas or something like that that you don't really get from going to South Portland. But you can have an urban adventure story, urban action adventure, or urban mystery adventure, whatever you want. You can have an adventure story. And a lot of movies are unintentionally that. They are about main characters going to places they are not familiar with and experiencing what is there. I would say, in many ways, that the I know it's not that popular, but I do like it. Although the anime is far superior, that's not even in debate. But I do like the new Ghost in the Machine movie with Scarlett Johansson as a movie on its own, not connected to. I'm a very big fan of, especially the Ghost in the Machine series. That's another thing. But as a movie on its own, it's an adventure movie. It's an exploration of a futuristic city and the human condition of living in that city. There is action in it. There is a mystery in it. Yeah, sure. But it's mainly an adventure. It's mainly an adventure story of exploring these places and people. And the same can be said for a lot of other things. In essence, you can boil almost all stories down to that, because all stories usually have some kind of encountering the exotic, or at least the unusual. It's kind of it's kind of a hallmark or foundation of fiction, but adventure stories really lean into it. Um, if if you have no adventure element in a story, you can still have a story, but the places and people are usually going to be very dull and very cookie cutter and not very varied. Um, it's going to be a very academic and intellectual exercise to follow the story. He just wants to get out of that room, but he cannot be allowed to eat the other stuff. It's Nico I'm talking about. I can still hear him in the background. I don't know if the recording is getting him. Um, poor him getting fed food that everybody else wants. Um, but if you want your story to be an adventure story, what you really need to do is work on everything that is not the plot, on the world, on the people. Intrigue maps can be a good thing. They don't have to be. Things don't have to be all that connected. It can be just A, B, C, D, one point to another. In fact, I would argue that something as classic as Indiana Jones, um, even the best of them, which is Indiana Jones 3, don't even come at me. Um, Even the best of them is just going from point A to B to C and so on and doing things that you're basically told. A bit like the action stories, you know where to go, but here it's not about what you do as much as it is where you go. You can have an action story that's just set in a medium-sized apartment. To be perfectly honest, you can have a really good one even if you do it right. But that's a bit harder with adventure because every scene almost needs to be in a new place. If you meet the same people and go to the same place, uh, more maybe not more than once, but it definitely if you do it more than twice, and usually if you do it more than once, then that place had better be really fascinating, or it's just going to be like an adventure hub that you return to before you go somewhere else, and it doesn't play that big a role. Maybe it does the first time, but after that, it's just somewhere to quickly go and then you move on. Adventure is going to very exciting places and meeting very exciting people. And if it's an action adventure, then you action them. If it's a mystery adventure, then you mystery them. But the adventure genre is a guided tour of fascinating people, places, items, and backstories to a lot of stuff, no doubt. So if you want to write a tour guide, but you want it to be more exciting, do an adventure story.